Welcome to MobileFabric Cordova Test Drive by Kony. Kony is a recognized leader offering mobile backend as a service or MBaaS. Kony's MBaaS allows you to expose the mobile optimized services in an efficient and a secure manner. This test drive is intended for mobile architects and developers that intend to create Cordova applications that need to use the MBaaS services that are exposed using Kony's MobileFabric server. In this test drive, we will walk you through the Cordova applications that seamlessly integrate with the services that are exposed by MobileFabric, provide an overview of the Eclipse-based Cordova development environment, and show the execution of these Cordova applications in a pre-configured Android emulator. The first application that we will walk you through in this test drive is called as News and Weather application, which uses integration and orchestration services that are set for Kony's MobileFabric MBaaS server. This application displays the news based on category like world, US, etc., and also displays the local news and the current weather and the weather forecast of an input city and zip code. Next, we will discuss about the steps of this test drive execution. The first step in the execution of this test drive is to register for the test drive. Once the registration is complete and approved, you will have to log in into Orbitera with the registered credentials. Launch the test drive to receive an email with the MobileFabric and Windows Remote Desktop credentials. Next, you will have to log in into the MobileFabric where the credentials provided in the email can be used to review the services that are set up for the news and weather application that is going to be discussed in this test drive. There is no configuration that is needed for these services to be used by the Cordova client application of the news and weather application of this test drive. All that is needed is to publish this service. Once the application is published, the app key, the app secret, and the application URL will need to be noted, as these are going to be needed to configure the client-side application. Once the service has been successfully published, the next step involves a configuration of the Cordova client application. The Cordova client application will have to be configured to have the app key, app secret, and the application URL in the config.js file. This is the only configuration that is needed on the client side of the Cordova app in this test drive. Once the client app is configured, it can be run in a pre-configured emulator. In the next part of this recording, we'll quickly review the services that are set up and are pre-configured as part of this test drive. Once you log in into the MobileFabric server that is set up as part of this test drive using the credentials that have been sent in the email, you will see that there are two applications that are installed on the MobileFabric server. One is the CRM application, which is called a CRM app, and the second one is News and Weather Sample. Once you click on the News and Weather Sample, you will see that there are three different integration services that are being defined, called as News, Weather, and the Location Lookup. These three integration services are in turn used by this one orchestration service that is being set up. The client application actually invokes this orchestration service, which in turn invokes the integration services that are set up. The integration services in turn invoke the exposed Google and CDyn services to provide the news, the current weather, as well as the weather forecast information. The next step in MobileFabric is to publish the News and Weather Sample application. To publish the application, click on the Publish tab, select the environment, and click on Next. Click on Save and Publish, and this will start the publishing of the application. Once the application is successfully published, we will need to note the application key as well as the service URL, as this data is required to configure the client-side Cordova application so that it can connect successfully to the services on the MobileFabric. The client-side Cordova application will be run in an Eclipse-based environment on the Windows as part of this test drive. Once you open the Windows environment, you will see that there is an icon called as News and Weather App _ Eclipse. Clicking on that opens the Eclipse environment in which this Cordova application will be run. Once the application opens and successfully compiles, we can go ahead and launch the emulator, the Android emulator, which is pre-configured for this Eclipse environment, by clicking on the Windows and clicking on Android Virtual Device Manager. Once the emulator is successfully launched, open the config.js file under the www folder and modify the app key, app secret, and the service URL as they pertain to the published application in the MobileFabric. Once the change has been made, the application can be run by clicking on Run as Android application. This will launch the application in the Android emulator. Once the application has been successfully installed on the Android emulator, the first page that is launched is the top stories. You can click on the hamburger menu and look at the other news, like for example, the world news, the technology news, and so on. Similarly, you can click on the hamburger menu again and choose the local, which will display the local news as well as the current weather as well as the forecast. Thank you very much for watching the video, and for more information please log on to kony.com or docs.kony.com.